Hello, my name is Christopher Palmer. I have created this podcast because I'm pretty much just a guy who loves sports and just kind of wanted to start this. I've been thinking about it for a while and have finally decided to actually just said kind of why not? What the heck, I'm doing it. I mean, I know there's a lot of podcasts out there about sports, but I mean, this is just my passion. I just want to get involved and, pretty much just doing this for fun. And if this grows and becomes big, cool. But I'm not doing it for that. I just want to start off by thanking all my friends and family who have been supporting me with this decision to start this podcast. So, um, for what I'll be talking about, I'll mostly be talking um, Royals and Braves baseball, as you can see. I'm a huge Royals fan. Um, on the wall to my right, Chiefs flag. You can see some behind me. So I am a big Chiefs and Royals fan. You can't really see it, but I am wearing a Mizzou shirt. Um, so I'm a big Mizzou fan. MIZZOU baby. Um, but I do, and I did mention Braves. I'm a big Braves fan. I do have family down in Atlanta that lives in Atlanta, so it's been through them that I've become a Braves fan. And then I do also like Nebraska, as my dad is a Huskers fan, so I was raised a Husker fan. But I became more of a Mizzou fan. I also became a Mizzou fan because of my mom and my mom's side of the family, and also have had quite a bit of friends go to Mizzou. And I do pull for Kansas State. Just kind of have a soft spot for them. Have a soft spot for the Michigan Wolverines, and honestly, thanks to the ESPN 30 for 30 documentary, The U, I kind of like Miami. It was honestly because I don't know if any of you out there have seen any of those 30 for 30 documentaries, whether the Miami one. I know there's one about SMU. There's one about Brian Bosworth, about the Chicago Cubs and the infamous Steve Barton play. Um, but there's a lot out there, and I thoroughly enjoy those documentaries. But I have been a big baseball fan since I was young. I actually played um, little league when I was little. I did stop in high school. I didn't play in high school, and I kind of regret that. But I mean, the past is the past. And I know I'm rambling here, but I just want to give everyone, my backstory, why I'm doing this, just and tell you guys a little bit about myself, so you know who I am. Um, so, um, what I will be talking about on this podcast, and there'll be multiple episodes. Like I'm not going to just talk all in one episode. I am going to try and keep these to 30 to about 45 minutes long. Just I want to kind of keep them semi short, but a little bit long. I do have a Twitter page and a TikTok account. All of them have the name. It is all sports ball with Palmer. The Twitter is sports ball with Palm because I was limited to characters, and adding my entire last name was two characters over, so I just shortened it to Palm. So, um, but those are my social handles, and then I do have obviously this YouTube page. In the future, I do plan on going on the podcast side, put like posting to Apple Podcasts and Spotify once I can figure out how to actually do that. I mean, I'm just researching right now, and right now I'm just kind of starting off on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter just to get started, and then branch out and go from there. Um, but eventually, I would like to start posting on Apple Podcast and Spotify and like that, and grow the channel, grow this podcast. But right now, I'm kind of keeping it small. So TikTok and Twitter will be like shorter snippets of basically what I will be covering on the full length side, on the YouTube side, and then eventually the podcast side, which that'll be a lot full length and more in depth than I will go to on TikTok and Twitter. TikTok, I think, or not TikTok, Twitter, you can post longer. Like, I mean, you can upload longer, but TikTok, it does limit how long the videos can be. So, partly because of that, but also it is TikTok, so I want to kind of keep it a little bit short. And then as of right now, I don't plan on doing live videos. It's all just going to be pre-recorded. Eventually, again, like with the podcasts, like posting them to Apple and Spotify, um, if I get a big enough following and people are asking for it, although I do kind of plan anyway, eventually to start doing like live videos. I'll do that. But that is just me. That's kind of my plan. Like I said, so then as far as what I'm going to be talking about, like I said, big Royals and Braves fan. So going to be, I'll have my baseball talk part and mostly be talking Royals and Braves, and then also a little bit baseball, like in general, like general overview, um, especially like during the week, big series, at least that I think are big series in my opinion, at least that I'm intrigued in, and then because there's a month and a half left in the season. October means playoff baseball, so I'll be talking playoffs. Um, so yeah, I'm ready for the playoffs. Um, so and then I'm also going to talk Chiefs football. As the NFL season is rapidly approaching, preseason is going on right now. I don't plan on, other than just right here, kind of talking about what I'm going to cover. Don't really plan on posting Chiefs slash like even NFL. Like I'll talk a little bit NFL in general, especially like once the playoffs start, and kind of like again with MLB, like big games for that week. At least that I think are big game. Well, I mean, obviously there's going to be the talking ones, like ESPN, Fox and NFL Network will be talking about. And so obviously, I mean, most of it as fans, yeah, they say that and you're like, oh, it's, you know, Eagles Lions, like that's a huge game. So, but like that, but like just talking again, games that I find intriguing. Um, but I don't plan on until the week of week one to release an episode about that. Just because at least me, I don't care all that much about the preseason. It's there for the guys, making the roster. Like obviously it has its purpose, but I you know, I mean I haven't even watched the two Chiefs preseason games, so yeah. So I'll drop that a little bit closer, or the week of week one, and then also going to talk college football and basketball, because I am a huge college fan in general, especially college football and college basketball. And then again, I'll be focusing mostly on Mizzou, but I will talk about Kansas State, Nebraska, Michigan, and Miami. Um, I mean, more regular. I mean, primarily focused on Mizzou, but they'll be in there in the weekly episodes, and then college, like in general, um, you know, stuff going on, and like overviewing stuff like that. Again, big games. Again, games that I find interesting. Of course, Alabama, Georgia. That's a massive game. Ohio State, Penn State. That's a massive game. Like, of course, and I'll talk about it. But other games that I find intriguing that maybe don't always catch everyone's eye just because there are focused on, those big games, but there are those kind of smaller games that it's like, oh wow, like Arizona State, Texas Tech, like that is going to have major implications on who wins the Big 12 this year. So definitely. And then I'll also sprinkle in a little bit of NASCAR talk because just recently I've watched the last 3 races for NASCAR. So I'm going to talk a little bit NASCAR because thanks to my friend uh, Thomas, again, you're getting another shout out. He has gotten me, and I'll say it, hooked on NASCAR. It is the races have been fun to watch. And luckily, some of the drivers that I kind of have gravitated towards, who I like and root for, um, some of them have won these 3, 4 races that I've watched. So, but that is what I will be talking about. And so I'm just going to go ahead and also just dive right in. So this episode is going to be more focused on baseball. Again, specifically Royals Braves, but this is going to be more of the baseball episode. And then later today, honestly, as soon as I finish recording this, I'm going to record a college football preview video. And then it's going to be more overview because this week, hey, college football is back. So I'm going to do more of an overview. And then later in the week, week 0 predictions and like more dive into the actual games that are going to be played this week. And then also as far as recording and video schedule, for sure Mondays, they're going to be videos, and then Fridays, and then I'm going to for sure going to try to post 2 times a week, and then maybe 3 or 4 as my work schedule, and just life in general schedule allows it. Try to post 3, maybe 4, but for sure 2 times, Monday and Friday. I might post a video because I mean I work Tuesday through Saturday, so now granted there's gonna be a couple Saturdays. I ain't gonna lie, I'm taking off to watch college football. Not this week because really the only big week 0 game is Kansas State, Iowa State, and then it's being played at 11. I'm okay. I'm okay missing it because that's really the only. There's other games, but like I mean I like college football, but like like they're just teams I don't whatever. Now next week Labor Day weekend I took off because I'm not missing that weekend for college football. Then I'm missing the following weekend because that's when Missouri and Kansas play. Yeah, I'm not missing that game. And then there'll be a handful of other Saturdays that I'm probably going to take off so I can actually watch. Uh, Again, mostly my teams, but I mean, I know there's going to be other games, but mostly my teams just because I don't want to miss because, like, it's a huge game. Sue me. But that's just what's going to happen. So, like, especially on those Saturdays, I'll probably try and record a video in the morning before the games because once the games, I want to be watching the games. Hence, even on like Mondays and Fridays, like Fridays, it's going to be recorded like immediately when I get off work, so I can sit and watch, the Royals and Braves game that night, and not, hence why I'm recording this episode here in the afternoon, so I'm able to watch the Royals game tonight. Because then there's still going to be times where I'm going to go to Royals games. So that way I can have the episodes recorded before the game and it's out before the game. So you can, if you have the chance to watch it before the game, great, or you'll be watching it during or after the game. But that's just what I want to do. For sure, two videos a week. And as schedule allows it, post, 3, maybe 3 or 4 videos. I say 3 or 4, but like, 3 or 4 times a week. 3 or 4 days, I should say. But anyways, I've already talked for 15 minutes, but I mean, again, I just wanted to introduce myself and just lay out what I have planned for this podcast. So I will get right in. I will start with the Kansas City Royals. and recap their weekend series against the Chicago White Sox. And then I'm going to preview their upcoming week, specifically the first series that they'll play against the Texas Rangers. So I'll focus on that, but preview the upcoming week against the Texas Rangers and Detroit Tigers. So on the recap, they played Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, again, weekend series. They did what they absolutely needed to do, and that was sweep the Chicago White Sox right out of Kansas City. And the White Sox have not won in Kansas City since I believe it's 2020, 2021, something like that. They have not won a game in Kansas City, which is just absolutely insane. Granted, a lot of those White Sox teams have not been the best, but still to not win a game here in Kansas City is crazy. And they won't have that opportunity until next year because the next time we play will be in Chicago. So they won't play in Kansas City the rest of this 2025 season. So the next opportunity they will get to beat the Royals in Kansas City is in 2026. So on Friday night, the Royals won 3-1. Noah Cameron went 5 1/3 inning. Could he have gone longer? Could he have gone? I mean, he obviously got into the six. Could he have gone through the six? I think he could have. But I mean, it's his rookie year, and you kind of don't want to overwork him. So, pull him. If he starts running into trouble, and he was running into a little bit of trouble in the sixth, but again, keep him fresh this year, the rest of the season. He had 2 strikeouts and 2 walks. Ever since he has been called up from Omaha, like he has had a couple rough starts here and there, but for the most part, he has gone 5 innings just about every start. If not getting into the sixth, if not going sixth, I believe he's only pitched into and or 7 innings like one time this year. Not too worried about that. He'll get there, but he deserves to be talked about in Rookie of the Year for Rookie of the Year. Is he going to win? No, I don't think he's going to win. I mean, Roman Anthony in Boston is having an amazing season. Nick Kurtz in Oakland is having a really good season. So I'll say those are your top 2, and it should be between those 2. But Noah Cameron is not getting enough Rookie of the Year talk. He has been great since the Royals called him up from Omaha. He's pretty much a walking quality start. Like, he's going to give you 5-6 innings. And I'm not saying our bullpen is the best, although if you look at ERA, they're top 5. So, and this isn't the 2014, 2015 type of level Royals bullpen. I mean, I don't think you're ever going to see a bullpen, anyone, not just Royals, bullpen as good as what the 2014, 2015 Royals was, where you legitimately, like, all our starters had to do was go 5 and hand it off to the bullpen. And if we had a lead after 5, the game was practically over. Like, we were going to win. So our bullpen isn't that good, and they did just lose Hunter Harvey to the IL, and he's probably going to be done for the rest of the year, so that's kind of a huge blow. But you did get Daniel Lynch back. But John Schreiber has been serviceable. He's been good. I mean, Sam Long, I don't think he should be on this team, but at the same time, he's been the innings eater of the bullpen. Like, he comes in like if we're up 8-1 or if we're down 8-1. So if he gives up some runs, it's kind of like, okay, we're down 8-1. Oh, now we're down 12-1. Not like we were going to win the game. Oh, we're up 8-1 and the game's now 8-3, 8-4, and the, 8th or 9th inning, because that's when he would come in. Like, you're not concerned about losing that game, or like, you're not concerned that you'll end up losing that game, or yeah. So, but Noah Cameron Noah's awesome. Um, the first inning, after Yaz was retired, Bobby and Vinny both singled, and then Garcia singled to drive in Bobby, and the Royals took a 1-0 lead. Um, and then Salvi homered, so he's getting closer to 300 career home runs. I really hope he gets it at home. And then Estevez came in and got his 31st save. So you took game one, great. And then Saturday, the offense broke out a little bit. And Yaz had second or third game now with the Royals with a leadoff home run. Yeah. Now, so, and from there they didn't look back. They won 6-2. Lorenzen made his return start for the Royals since coming back from the IL. He only went 4 innings. I'm okay with it. That was his first start coming back from the IL. Daniel Lynch ended up picking up the win out of the pen. They won 6-2 and kind of cruised. And the 2 runs they got, the White Sox got, were late, and they were just kind of meaningless runs. Like the game was already over. The game was in hand. So they took game 2, already secured the series on Saturday. And then, sorry, I got a bunch of tabs open. On Sunday, they won by the same score they won on Saturday, which was 6-2. Which, the score's a little bit deceiving because they got no hit for like 5 innings against a not good pitcher. It's like, all right, come on, boys. And then they finally got a hit, and then they finally scored for the first time in the 7th. And then from there, the offense just like, all right, we got this. They were actually down 2-0 against the White Sox. So this classifies as a comeback victory. In the 7th inning, not Garcia, Jonathan India hit a massive 2-run home run into the fountains in left field to tie the game. Oh my goodness, that was awesome. And Jonathan India has actually been dropped down in the lineup to the 7th spot. He's been in the leadoff spot the entire season. I mean, there's been obviously games where like he was either hurt because like early in the year he got hit in the head, so he missed 1 or 2 games. So obviously he wasn't batting leadoff because he wasn't playing. But he's been the leadoff guy, and I get it. He was traded and brought in to be the leadoff guy, but he has struggled in the leadoff spot. And then at the deadline, Adam Frazier was like right before the deadline. He was on deadline day, but then the Royals brought in at least hitters, Mike Yastrzemski and Randall Grichuk. They're not like eye popping names, headline grabbing names, but they are solid big league guys. They are, MLB average, but they help lengthen that lineup 1 through 9. And so it's not just Garcia, Bobby, Vinny, and Salvi. Like, it's not just them. You now have guys in that lineup that can help. And just recently, the last 2-3 games, Yastrzemski has been in the leadoff spot instead of India, which is nice. But the Royals are going to be platooning that. So with Yastrzemski being a left-handed hitter, he's going to lead off against right-handed pitchers, against righties, and it looks like Michael Garcia is going to then lead off against lefties. So I'm okay with that because, like, you look at their numbers, Like, they've been doing a lot better, and especially Yastrzemski in the leadoff. Like, he's been a good leadoff hitter in his career, whether with the Red Sox, the Giants. He has been a good leadoff hitter. So you have him, and he can give you professional at bats. Um, and then Jonathan India, since moving down in the lineup, and I give him a lot of credit. A lot of veterans might say, like, no, I'm not going to get moved down. Um, this is why you traded for me. I'm going to hit leadoff, but he's taken it with grace. He's taken it with humbleness, and he's accepted it. And he has actually done a lot better because, I mean, I don't want to say he was pressing. Like, he could have been pressing. So, I mean, I don't know, but, and maybe he felt the pressure to be a really good leadoff hitter, and it just hasn't happened. So, like, now that pressure can be off. He can just play his game in the 7 spot. And then the Royals are also going to get Jack Caglione back here soon, from his injury, as he's down in Omaha rehabbing right now. Um, and I think he was pressing. I really do think Cags was pressing because he felt like he had to be the guy, because especially when he was called up, the offense was struggling. They're still dealing with a lot of the same issues, hitting with runners in scoring position, uh, getting guys home, scoring runners with less than 2 outs, scoring runners with 2 outs. Those issues are still there. Base running mistakes are still there. But since July 1st, the Royals offense has been a lot better. They're averaging 5 runs a game. So whereas they were averaging like 2.5, 3 runs. So, like, there has been improvement. And then again, the additions of Adam Frazier, Yastrzemski, and Randall Grichuk, like, yeah, you're gonna, especially between Grichuk and Yaz a lot, with Grichuk playing against lefties, and then probably, like, okay, if they bring in a lefty to face Yastrzemski, they'll bring Grichuk off the bench and pinch hit. Um, Now Frazier has been, and I'll say this, I was against the Adam Frazier trade when it happened, but Adam Frazier has been fantastic since coming back to the Royals. Uh, yeah. So, yeah, I was wrong. And he brought a lot of energy to the clubhouse, and that veteran leadership that the Royals, I won't say desperately needed, but, like, that helps. So you got those three, and again, you're going to get Cags, and you can bat Cags, 7th, 8th, not, or I mean, I wouldn't say ninth. You can probably bat him anywhere from 6th to 8th, and maybe have him just ahead of India. So maybe you have CAG 7, India 8th, something like that. And he doesn't have to feel the pressure because you got other guys in the lineup that can help. And I know that's more than just talking about the Saturday game, but Frazier had a game. He had a good game. I mean, he had a 2-run home run there in the 8th inning to right field, and it was a bomb. It was like, oh, Frazier got one now. Like, all right. Like I said, India had one. Like, it was great. Like, the offense came through Saturday. Or and Sunday. Because Sunday again they came back and Frazier had that game home run on Sunday. Um to complete the sweep of the White Sox, which the Royals absolutely needed, because they're not zero, and it's not like 1%. I haven't looked. I mean, the last time I saw them, I think it was last week. It was at like 13 or 14%. So obviously not great. I mean, I guess kind of horrible, but they are 4 games back of the New York Yankees for the last wild card spot. Um, and they are only a half game back of Cleveland for second place in the Central. Detroit is 9 games up. I don't think the Royals will win the division. unless Detroit just has an absolute historic collapse. Don't think the Royals are going to win the division. But Boston holds the top wild card spot, followed by Seattle, then New York. And then Cleveland, sorry, Cleveland and Kansas City are both behind the Yankees fighting for that last wild card spot. So, with a month and a half to go, they still have a chance, but they absolutely needed to sweep one of these last two series against either Nationals or White Sox. They didn't get it done against the Nationals. Now they still won the series two games out of three. Because you couldn't lose that series. You absolutely couldn't lose. Like, Washington is horrible. And obviously neither is Chicago. So you could not you had to, like, you couldn't just take each series. You couldn't just win 2 out of 3. You had to sweep one of them, and they swept the White Sox. They got the job done. So they keep the hopes alive. Now, this week, they will continue the homestand as they're on a 10-game homestand right now with 4 more against the Texas Rangers. And then this weekend, they will head to Detroit to take on the Tigers. This series against the Rangers is massive. Probably, arguably, maybe the biggest series. I would have said the Toronto one was the biggest, but it's at least as big as that Toronto Blue Jay series up in Toronto was a couple weeks ago. Like, they need to, at the very least, split this series, but they really need to take 3 out of 4. If they find a way to 4-game sweep Texas, that's huge. But they need to find a way to take 3 out of 4 against Texas. Texas is a game and a half behind them. So you want to keep, at least splitting does that, and then obviously taking 3 out of 4 or sweeping absolutely keeps Texas below you. So you want to keep Texas below you in the standings. Now, Texas is kind of in free fall right now. They are 2-8 in their last 10 games, whereas the Royals are 7-3. So you want to keep them down while they're down right now. You don't want to let them back in it. You don't want to let them pass you in the standings. Now, is Texas still absolutely a really talented ball club? Absolutely. Like, their offense is one of the best in the league. And then DeGrom actually is not like fully back to his Cy Young self, but he is been solid lately. But I don't think Nathan Eovaldi's pitching this series. But then the Royals starters, you'll have Michael Wacha going tonight. Tomorrow you will have Seth Lugo. On Wednesday, you will have Noah Cameron. And on Thursday will be Michael Lorenzen. Now, Lugo has been struggling, and I'm kind of worried. I think, which they did put Bailey Falter, who they acquired from Pittsburgh at the deadline, into the bullpen, which probably means, obviously, once Reagans comes back, I apologize, that I do hope they go 6-man, but just because it would help give each of these guys an extra day rest. But they need to take this series to stay in the right direction. At least for me at this point now. Expectations coming into this season, I mean, not World Series winning expectations, but after that magical season they had last year, making the playoffs, winning that series against Baltimore, and then they came up short against the Yankees, but they were right in that series. I still feel like they should have won that series against the Yankees. But when Bobby, Vinny, and Salvi, who was your offense, they don't do anything, it's tough to win. Even as good as the pitching or starting pitching was, and even the bullpen was, you weren't going to win that series, unfortunately. But they were right in that series. They only lost in 4 games. So, they were right there. So, you were coming off that, and the Central, I mean, yeah, Detroit's doing really good, but the Central is still, I wouldn't say super weak, but, like, it's open enough that, like, the expectations to win the division were there, not just from fans like me, not just from the fan base, not just from media. I mean, I know not a lot of people were picking them, but there was a handful of national media people picking the Royals to win the division. The expectations were there in that clubhouse to win the division. So again, unless Detroit just has a absolute historical collapse, Royals aren't going to win the division. They can still make the playoffs. Now, for me, I want them to finish with a winning record. Right now they're 62, no, 63 and 61. So they're 2 games above 500. They finally got back above 500 in the White Sox series because for a little bit these past couple weeks, they have gotten close. They've either gotten to 500 or a game below 500, but couldn't get over that hump. So now they've finally gotten over the hump and gotten above 500. Now stay that way. Don't drop to 500 or below the rest of the year, but finish with a winning record and maybe and try to find a way to sneak into the playoffs. Try to sneak into that last playoff spot. Now with a month and a half, like yeah, you're running out of time, but being only 4 back of that last spot, and then they're 5 back then of Seattle for the actually 5 back of both because Seattle and Boston both are tied for 1 and 2. So you're 5 back of then even the top wild card spot. Like a good week or two stretch where you have a good week or two, and they have a little bit of a down week or two, you can absolutely get into that top wild card spot. But what they have to do these next 2 weeks is put themselves in that position in September to be competing and be there for that wild card spot. So that's my expectations. And then I will actually predict that they do take 3 or 4 from Texas, um, because since June and the Royals had an awful month of June where they like didn't win a home game until like the end of the month. Like they only won, I think, 1 home game that entire month. Like they had a long, or I think they won more than that because they like had a little bit good on the last one. Saying I mean, I'm even looking up. I'm just, but I do know like they had like a 6 or 7 game home losing streak, and since that they have really turned things around at home. Because last year they were so good, like they didn't even like, I don't think they lost a home series until, like, September, which is crazy, but, like, that just shows, like, how dominant they were at home last year. So they've I I don't wouldn't say they've gotten back to that level of dominance at home, but they kinda were like, "Hey, if we wanna reach our goals and do what we need to do, we gotta start playing better at home," and they have done that, so you're and they actually swept Texas in Texas. So now you're getting them here. Obviously, I'm sure they'll have a little bit of revenge on the mind, but like I said, they're in a tailspin, and then you're playing them at home. Um, I would predict that they take 3 or 4 from the Texas Rangers. Now I will talk about the Atlanta Braves. Um, the Braves played. Geez, like I said, I have a lot of tabs pulled up because this is my more in depth. They played the Cleveland Indians in Cleveland to finish their road trip, um, against the Mets and Indians. They swept the Cleveland Indians. I predicted that they would take 2 out of 3, so they were like, "All right, screw you," kind of. Not really, but they swept the Cleveland Indians in Cleveland. And again, bring back in the Royals, like they swept Chicago. Like a bad team, like you guys sweep bad teams. It's a little bit easier to do that when you're the home team. Doing that on the road is not impossible, but like I guess again against a bad team like the Washington Nationals or the Chicago White Sox or the Colorado Rockies, it's a little bit easier to do. And again, I'm not like high on Cleveland. I haven't been for the last couple years because now like their pitching is like really good, one of the best in the league. Although now since Class A has been suspended for gambling, they don't have one of the best closers in the game, so the bullpen has taken a hit. But their starters are still decent. But their offense really doesn't scare me. It's just Jose Ramirez and Stephen Kwan. Now, like they're two really good, like all-star level players, but outside of them, their offense does not scare me. Um, so to go in for the Braves to go into Cleveland and sweep that series, absolutely huge. And I've said this on like especially my short videos. Um, the Braves this Braves season's lost. It's over. They're not making the playoffs. As we sit here today, they are 54-68, so they are well under 500. It would just like it would take Detroit a monumental historic collapse. They would have to like have a historic like surge, and even then they would only be like right at 500 or just above 500. And in the NL playoff race, that's not going to be enough to get in. Um, so this season's over. This season's lost. Um, but they're like, yeah, they're what 14 games? Yeah, 14 games under 500. Like they're not a bad team. Like their offense, granted, been frustrating, kind of like the Royals. Because at times they'll go in the slumps, and you're like, "Come on, you got the talent," um, but they'll struggle. Um, they can play spoiler now in the NL, not so much because um, pretty much everyone who's in a playoff spot right now is going to make the playoffs. I mean, yeah, could a collapse happen for a couple of them? Absolutely, but really, it's only the Reds that aren't in the playoffs. Like, okay, they're in the playoff picture, but they're not like if the playoffs were to start today, the Reds would be out. So they can still play spoiler like against the Reds, against the Mets, who they took 2 out of 3 from earlier in the week. Um, they can play spoiler against them, even the Cubs, who are kind of struggling a little bit right now, or they can, kind of keep teams from winning the division. Now they would still be in the playoffs, but keep them from winning the division. Um, they can do that to American League teams because Cleveland is obviously fighting one of those teams fighting. Like they helped the Royals out this weekend by sweeping them. Um, I believe they'll play Detroit later in the season, so they can play spoiler even against those American League teams, and at least maybe keep them from winning a division. Now, again, I don't think Detroit's probably going to win the American League Central, but they can play spoiler. In a lost season, just kind of play for pride. So they won game 1 on Friday 2-0. Hurston Waldrip was absolutely brilliant with 6 innings, gave up 2 hits, no earned runs, and had 7 strikeouts. He was fantastic. There's really not, especially in a 2-0 game, not much else to say about that one. Then on Saturday, the offense broke out in a huge way. They won 10-1. And it all, they were up 3-0, but they really broke out. They scored 2 in the 4th, 3 in the 5th, 2 more in the 6th, and that made it 10-10, and they won 10-1. So they came out in a big way. Joey Wentz earned the win. He went 6 innings, was solid, gave them what they needed, and then on Sunday they won 5-4 in comeback fashion as they were down 2-0, then down 4-1 at one point, and then they came back and won 5-4. Now they will play the Chicago White Sox this week and the Philadelphia Phillies. Going to Chicago and sweep. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you. I hope you all have a great day.